Thanks. The Levy Oration was instigated by Jacqueline Roth when she was president, and it is the opportunity to put someone in front of the audience who has had some influence in agriculture, and the opportunity for them to talk about virtually anything they want to. We never hold the topic to anything, so that we can create some thought-provoking sort of. Basically, it's about providing you with something to think about. Where are we going? Where have we been? What are we learning from it? All those sort of things. Very pleased to announce this year's Levy Orator is Richard Green. Richard is currently the Executive Chairman across a range of businesses, owned with his wife Vicky and other shareholders, including retirement villages, honey production, marketing and dairy farming. He sits on a number of boards, including 5 farm advisory boards, the Agmark Trust, Ligno Tech Developments, the Foundation of Arable Research, the Canterbury Westland Cancer Society, and he's on the board of Kellogg's and Nuffy Leadership Programs. Richard has been General Manager International for PGW Seeds, Sales and Marketing Director for Agricom, and prior to his 11 years in the seed industry, he spent 8 years as an ag consultant. So I first met Richard at the Informate office of what was then Ag New Zealand. So, like I say, we don't tie this topic down. We basically give our speaker free rein to talk. So I am proud to introduce Richard and to call him to the stage to present you with something to think about for potentially the rest of your life, we hope. No pressure, Richard. Thank you.
I didn't actually believe it was going to be me, even though I knew a couple of months ago. I still was hoping that perhaps someone else was going to be announced. But ladies and gentlemen, it really is a great honour and a privilege to be recognised by my peers with a really prestigious award. There's so many people that have supported me through my career to date, and ironically, a lot of you actually here in this room, so it's quite appropriate I speak today. I've always tried just to do my bit and get on with things and hide behind the background. My father was actually an electrician. He used to connect wires, but I actually believe that some of my skills are connecting people and ideas, not wires. Still gives a bit of a spark. So receiving an award like this is actually very humbling for me, particularly when you consider how many great people in this industry make a difference. Given I'm only really halfway through my career, I thought I'd use about half my time to reflect on what have I actually learned and observed in the first half of my career, but then look ahead at where do I want this industry to be in the next 20 years, and so we can realise the potential of the agri-food industry. So I hope that's okay. Don't fall asleep. So what have I learned over the first half of my career? Well, I've learned that one of the key differences in New Zealand farming systems compared to other countries in the world, other than our subsidies, is it's our systems approach to farming and to research. Agriculture universities have always had a method and approach to teaching that produces generalists or integrators who can fit technologies into farm systems. And as we move down the path of specialisation, which is happening more and more, we must ensure that we continue to build and enhance the systems approach to farming. It's absolutely clear to me that science discovery and farmer adoption and innovation is the engine that drives New Zealand agriculture. And the underlying mission of the New Zealand Grasslands Association, and if you can't remember, it's fueled by science and tempered by experience, is just as appropriate today as when it was developed 10 plus years ago. To me, this means connecting farmers and industry with science, and then all the feedback loops that go on to drive innovation. Innovation has always underpinned New Zealand farming, and it will do so in the future. I've learned that soft skills, or interpersonal skills, and emotional intelligence are just as important as hard skills or technical knowledge. Soft skills were never talked about when I was going through through university, when I started out in my career. And I often think back to how much more I could have achieved as an agriculture consultant if I'd actually better understood that the way the message is delivered is more important than the message itself. I think I've been a far better communicator, and my wife questions that, since I understood my own communication and behaviour style, and therefore I've better been able to understand others. When I look back on my career to date, I can see that the best investments I've ever made were in my own personal development. I remember when I joined math, and some of you in this room did at the same time, but we were allocated $5,000 per person for training, which was a huge amount of money in the time. And I remember spending every single dollar of it plus more in personal development every year. And I still do a lot of personal development today. And I remember a few years ago someone asked me to try and quantify what value I got out of that. And I always said, to me, $1 invested in personal development gives me at least a $10 return. So it is the best investment I've ever made. I've also been fortunate to have done a lot of international travel, both previously with our seed business and now with our honey business. And there were some years I was spending over 100 nights overseas a year. One of the key learnings I got over this time was that consumers actually do control our value chain, not the supermarkets or farmers as we often think. And we might not always agree with our targeted consumers' views on our farming practices, but you do need to appreciate that over time, their perception has to become our reality. I've observed and learned firsthand how critical it is for a business to have a clear purpose and vision, and then a plan for success. I remember as a math extension officer running field days or discussion groups about some new innovation or business idea or fancy gadget that was going to make them a lot of money, and being so frustrated when no one would pick up my ideas. But I soon discovered you actually had to spin it around for success, so that new innovations were actually demanded within farming systems contexts rather than being pushed on them. And I started to focus my efforts on helping those farming businesses without a clear plan to develop one for their business. And I found that once a business has a plan of success with defined goals and targets, then they actually do become highly motivated and driven to identify their current limitations and choke points and constraints and change their farming practices to improve performance. So clarity of vision and clear goals are absolutely critical in any business. I've also learned that the first 15 years of your career are the most important, and they actually set you up for the next 25 years. In farming and agribusiness, these are what I think of as the grunt years. This is the time when you set your platform for your success over the rest of your career. I'm a strong advocate of making sure that individuals can be trained and mentored in their 20s, receiving as many experiences as possible so they can be at the top of the game in their 30s. Succession isn't planned well enough within agricultural businesses, and certainly often not well enough within farming families. And I've actually been involved the last 20 years in a number of family meetings and think there's huge value in talking about the real hard topics that actually underpin succession, at least 10 years out from a succession event happening. I've learned that building a team of trusted advisors and mentors around yourself and your business is invaluable, but getting the best out of advisors is actually a skill in itself. I've found that I've needed to be very clear about my own business vision and identify the areas that I think I need assistance in to get the best out of my advisory team. But it's true that who you marry in life or have as your lifelong partner is the most important decision you ever make. And to have a successful and sustainable business over the long term requires you and your partner to be absolutely on the same page and get through the tough times and support each other together. And I've been incredibly fortunate to have my wife Vicky as my best sounding board and confidant, and she's given me a solid platform to build from. After initially having my head in the sand, I've now learned to accept that both our consumers and also the communities we live within demand standards that farmers we need to meet if we're going to retain our social licence to farm. We need to account for and we need to justify the impact that our farming practices have on the environment, whether it's to land, air or water. We need to accept as farmers, we need to farm within the nutrient limits set, not just meet, but also exceed animal welfare targets and standards. My observation is that we're probably in one of the most turbulent, uncertain periods we've ever had since the removal of subsidies in the mid-1980s. Our whole paradigms and thought patterns, let alone our farming practices, are having to change. In the first 25 years of my career, successful business models revolve around intensifying production through increasing stocking rates and per head performance, while retaining the same percentage of farm working expenses as of our rising income. This strategy allowed us to keep up with the ongoing decline in real terms of trade. The scary thing to me now is that these old business models won't work going forward, as we now know in many catchments we've reached or exceeded our maximum nutrient discharge levels. And this isn't just because this is what the rules from the regional council say. For me, it's also driven what our high worth end user customers are saying and what our communities want. As farmers, we're all starting to look towards the market and say we need more value for our products. But this isn't easy. Within New Zealand, we've invested heavily in training, research and development for the past 100 years to be the global experts in growing forages and efficiently turning into products. We've been very fortunate as a nation to have some preferred free market access deals and strong demand for our products. And therefore, we haven't invested in market development to the extent we should have over recent decades. As a consequence, we have a limited number of people with the deep market and customer understanding, with the ability to develop brands, stories and connections with consumers. We're having to play catch up very, very quickly. I've learned in our businesses that we can generate large returns through the development of intellectual property. Most farming businesses understand about returns from investing in tangible assets, such as land, stock, machinery and buildings, but they actually have a very poor understanding about the potential return and value from investing in intangible assets. These intangible assets could include brands and stories, or patents and trademarks, as well as unique systems and skills development and staff. For the agri-food sector to develop unique points of difference from our competitors, we urgently need to invest and develop our own intangible assets. One thing that I've observed time and time again is that profitable businesses always have a simple and repeatable core business at their heart. These businesses can often look from the outside quite boring, but they consistently produce high levels of performance and a real focus on producing free cash flow. When you talk to the management teams within these businesses, you understand that they understand their businesses intimately, and they know all the levers they can pull to drive profitability. The businesses are well systemised, and they have key negotiable targets or decision points in place. A problem for many other business owners is that they don't like the discipline around monitoring and reporting that goes with these successful business models, so we often can't replicate them far and wide around New Zealand. Historically, I don't think we've seen discipline as part of our national psyche, and this actually needs to change. And I think possibly it is changing. If you look at the All Blacks as an example, as someone said to me the other day, we won the first World Cup in 1987 just because we're good. But we won the last two because we have disciplined systems and we're process driven. I've learned over the first half of my career that magic does happen and opportunities do come along relatively regularly over your career and your business life cycle. What defines an individual or a business's success over the long term is actually whether they capitalise on these opportunities. And there's only a few unique individuals that are constantly scanning the horizon, looking for opportunities so they can recognise them when they come along. These successful individuals move quickly when they see an opportunity and grab them with both hands, often before others have even woken up. Probably the key learnings for me from watching others do this well is to know what success looks like for you and your business, and to surround yourself with positive people and competent advisors who actually make you think bigger than you would on your own, and they give you the confidence to act. I've also learned over the last 20 odd years that you need to give back to things that you're extremely passionate about. We're very fortunate in New Zealand to have passionate volunteers that keep the rural community strong, as well as keeping national organisations running that are important to our collective future, such as the New Zealand Grasslands Association. My personal experience is the value you receive from tithing your own time to an organisation is significantly more than any short-term cost you might have. And it's really true, the more you give, the more you receive in return. So what is my vision for the agri-food sector for the next 20 years? Well, I believe we need to aggressively re-engineer our value chains based on meeting the needs of premium customers wanting our premium products. Our current value chains are mainly designed around commodity products. While I expect commodities we produce will still form a small percentage of our products, the balance will be far different than it is today. And the new premium value chains will be supported by traceability, where food safety being absolutely critical to high-end customers. We'll have deep customer insights and a connection with these customers that makes our products stand out from their suppliers. We'll be using smart use of social media to get as many touch points with the targeted consumers as possible. We'll have open access to what we do and how we do it. We'll possibly have supply of products 52 weeks of the year, or true rarity value through seasonality. We'll have measurement and reporting against compliance standards for air, water and land externalities, but also against global best practice. And we'll be co-branding and developing food baskets through partnerships with other New Zealand suppliers. Given our small scale and the ability to only feed 50-odd million people, we need to collaborate internally. I believe that the New Zealand agri-food industry needs to develop a pasture-fed brand and a standard across all our products. This will help differentiate our food products from our competitors. Pasture needs to be the new superfood. To underpin this pasture-fed brand, we need to develop our own unique agricultural story around our methods of production, our heritage and our farming culture. I see the need for innovation and adoption being even more critical to our success in the future than it has been in the past. And this won't just be the linear adoption of technology, but where farmers can get synergistic benefits from technology adoption, where the sum of the benefits will be greater than the individual parts. This could be where a new plant species is fed to an animal with a unique trait supported by precision farming technology. R&D providers will need to continue doing their own compartment research, but we'll need to find ways to bring these various technologies together, potentially through modelling, but also in real life through demonstration farms, utilising all the technology available to farmers within a real farming environment. Again, to me, this reinforces the importance of farm systems. We often can't get past the point of a lack of funding when we talk R&D to even think about new models to increase innovation. I think in the short to medium term we can and hopefully will attract serious international money into our research programs. I see that global companies are starting to recognise that within New Zealand we've got very close links between science, education, industry and business, as well as the government as a regulator. All the thirst for change and progress. These are all the components required for focused innovation and adoption. New Zealand has the opportunity to be the global centre of excellence for pasture and high-yielding crop research. This research will focus on our problems and opportunities, but obviously have global spin-offs. I think that new farm ownership structures will continue to evolve, with bank finance being replaced with more equity to make our businesses more resilient, our farming businesses, and also allow us to make a greater investment in often non-bankable intangible assets. This will lead to more formal governance structures being required, partly driven from the complexity of the business, but also from future shareholders being passive investors in the business, quite removed from the day-to-day management. While much has been said about the need for good governance in business, I'm more concerned about the risks of not having the right number and calibre of highly skilled managers to run these large and complex businesses in the future. This will require the development of a range of high-powered short courses to provide professional and personal development training, but also a commitment by employers to significantly increase the investment they make in staff training. And also picking up on the point I made earlier, taking a leaf from the corporate world, we need to identify talented young people in their 20s and fast-track their development to give them the breadth of experience needed to be our future leaders. And I'm really proud that's sort of the approach we're taking within Kellogg's and Nuffield. A separate huge challenge that is bigger than one individual to solve alone is how do we urgently train staff with the skills and the expertise to connect our branded products under a New Zealand agri story with high-end consumers. These people will almost certainly be living in market and will be constantly getting real insights into what our customers want, and also identifying ways for us to shorten the value chain so we can get closer to the customer to add and collect more value. This is nothing new. Many innovative companies have been doing this for years, with Zespri having just under 400 of their staff based living in offshore markets. But I want to see it happen on scale. But we can't ever underestimate the investment and time that will be required to train these people. And unfortunately, even if we started this today, we're probably 10 years too late. One of the short-term opportunities will be around data measurement and reporting, which will potentially add significant value to all businesses, farming businesses over the next few years. We haven't yet been able to comprehend the opportunities for improvement we're going to be able to have from being able to focus on optimising performance per square metre or per animal, compared to per paddock or per mole. Data will provide managers the opportunity or the information to reduce the variability of performance across both animals and land, and to reduce the impact on their environment. With all this data available in the future, we have a huge need for system integrators who can pull it all together, interpret it, and turn it into practical recommendations. Farmers require all their IT providers to collaborate and work together so the information can be provided on one common IT platform, removing the problems and constraints we currently have in this area. I imagine a world where both farmers and other value chain partners would have realised the value of R&D investment. And in New Zealand, we'll be investing 2 to 3 times in R&D what we have done in the past, and new innovations will be rolling out to support agriculture. Investment in collective marketing and brand development will not have just doubled over the next 20 years, but could have grown by a factor of at least 4-fold from today's levels. While there'll be a sunk cost in getting this going, the long-term returns will be significant, and the only way that we as farmers will break away from just supplying commodities. We can't just sit and wait for the government to drive this. As farmers and industry bodies, we need to stand up and develop a clear and compelling vision for farmers and government to invest in. Tourism is a sector that agriculture must work far closer with, as both industries need to leverage off each other to realise their potential and make the New Zealand experience truly enduring. I recently met an international chef, actually, on top of Mount Narahau, as you do, who had a 3-week stay in New Zealand, and she'd been travelling right around the world for the last 5 years. And she said in New Zealand she'd experienced the freshest and tastiest food ingredients of anywhere in the world. How do we allow our visitors to New Zealand that have been bitten by the Kiwi experience to continue buying premium food ingredients on a daily basis when they return home? I'd love to see the My Food Basket concept be expanded globally to a Kiwi food basket. An ongoing connection with our country via our food will encourage tourists to return again and recommend their experience to their friends. Over the next 25 years, the New Zealand farming businesses would have had to develop greater resilience in their business at all levels to thrive in a world of global warming. Climate change will shape our thinking over the next few decades. Most farmers in the world are, I think, pretty well prepared for climate change, but in New Zealand we seem to be slow to recognise and accept what is actually impacting on us already. Other things coming to us at full speed that we need to be proactive about and not just react when the issues blow up is carbon emissions and animal welfare standards, and also unintended results from micro-testing of our food production. I'm sure over the next 20 years the agricultural industry or the farming industry would have moved away from our entrenched positions, entrenched positions we seem to hold today. We would have accepted that change is necessary and embraced it. I hope that our industry and marketing organisations will be working far more seamlessly together, and that we have some umbrella grouping that has set a farmer-driven but a customer-led vision for our agri-food industry. This same group may well be the spokesperson for the media on general agricultural issues, so we can project a consistent and balanced view of our industry. This would all help make farmers and others in the industry feel less like victims, and hopefully then move farmer mindset more to accepting challenges and being proactive in trying to find solutions. I think we all intuitively know that our future as a pasture industry will actually be defined in the next 10 to 20 years. My vision is that the pasture industry be recognised as being customer focused, highly profitable, with an ever-decreasing environmental footprint and an ever-increasing investment in brands, research, innovation and staff training. I honestly believe that we can realise this vision, but we will need alignment and unity right across our value chain from the farmer to the market. We need to first agree on a common vision and purpose, and then commitment and capital from the players will follow. Structure has to follow strategy, and we need to agree on our combined strategy or vision before we jump into discussing operating structures. Nothing will ever happen without first collaboration across our pastoral industry. And this can be scary because it potentially involves change and often means you've got to give something up to get something more in return. But the prize in front of us is huge. Our industry can be recognised as a delicatessen for the 50 million high net foodies of the world. And if we don't grab this opportunity, then other countries will claim this moral high ground and the marketing position that it enables. In my mind, retaining the status quo is not an option, and it's actually a far riskier proposition than embracing the vision that I'm proposing. This is the industry I'm wanting to be part of for the next 20 years in my career. And for those of you who are just starting out in your career, I think you're fortunate to have been joined this industry at a very critical time when some key strategic decisions need to be made. And I really encourage you to step up and ask lots of questions and challenge the status quo. We need leaders, not just observers in this industry, and your future is more at stake than the existing players. Finally, I'd like to sincerely thank the NZGA Executive Committee for presenting me with this honour to speak to you today. And I'd like to acknowledge and honour those award winners who've gone before me, including last year's winner, the late Colin Holmes. So all the best for the rest of your conference. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that, Richard. What I heard was systems, international research, funding. No doubt you all heard something different, and that's a really important bit of this. What we'll do now is we'll just take a moment to present Richard with the Levy Medal and a certificate honouring the Levy Oration.